Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. I have a very special guest with me. This is the Bad Boy Revolt, and this is the GCI Turf MowDown ShowDown. So if you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and tell all your buddies in the lawn care industry we have a very unique opportunity. We have 14 of the biggest, baddest, made in America stand-on mowers, and we're going to go through them all, the good and the bad about all of them. I do want you to know this is not a paid promotion. None of these manufacturers have paid me 1 red cent to do this. No, I'm not going to get to keep all the mowers when I'm done. They'll go back to the rightful owner. I'm doing this on my own time, on my own dime. This is not a competition style review series. There's a set of categories we're going to go down through for each machine, and I'm going to give you a score from 0 to 10 on that category as it pertains to each mower. I do ask that you be respectful in the comments. I know there's a lemon in every bunch, right? And some of you have probably had a bad experience at some point in time with any of these brands. Something negative you could say could potentially affect a sale somewhere down the road. And although we want to bring to light the bad parts about it, I do want you to know that American hands build these mowers. And I take that very seriously. I'm 100% about supporting American manufacturing, the American family, and because American families build these machines, something you might say could potentially somewhere down the road affect that in some kind of way. I know it's a strange way of looking at it, but it's my way of looking at it. So I ask you to be respectful, please. So now I like to start these videos off with one word, and that is one word that, in my opinion, best describes the machine. And we'll get into this a little bit more in detail a little later in the video, but my one word is unfortunate. We had a failure on this machine, and something broke on it. It didn't work like it was supposed to. It caused me a little bit of trouble when I was cutting my yard here. We had to take the machine to a local dealer. Fortunately for me, it was right down the street, and we took it there and they fixed it up. And of course, I'm going to show you the issue, show you what they did to kind of piece it together so that my 3 crew leaders could take the machine out and do the mowing, because you know they're also going to be scoring the machine just like I am on all the same categories, so that you don't just get my take on it, you get the opinion of 3 crew leaders who've been cutting turf for a very, very, very long time. So that's my word. One word. It was a little unfortunate, but like I said, we'll dig into that a little bit deeper here in a little bit. So without further ado, let's jump right into the categories. And first off is bad to the bone. That's the aesthetics of the mower. I've said this a few times. I'm going to say it again so you don't forget. You never buy a piece of equipment based on what it looks like. You buy a piece of equipment based on how it performs and how it makes money for your company. But with that said, I want to just kind of give you my take on what I think about how the thing looks. You know, I'm a muscle car guy, horsepower, faster the better, burning rubber, pulling gears kind of dude. And that's kind of the way I look at machines and equipment, and like, who's bad to the bone? And just from looking at this thing, man, it looks like it's ready to jump off the trailer and just start screaming. The stance of it is absolutely incredible. I like the molded fenders over the back tires. I like how this kind of comes up at an angle right here, kind of gives it a little bit, maybe kind of a unique stance. But the one thing that really stands out to me is those bull horns in the front. The front forks that attach to the casters, they look like they come off a big Brahma bull. When I saw them over for the first time, that is the first thing that caught my eye. You can call them pitchforks or bull horns or whatever you want to call them, but that absolutely sets the stage for the rest of the machine as far as how it looks. Matter of fact, that there's a lot of meat in those bull horns as well. So, you know, as far as the way the thing looks, I mean, I got to give it like a 9.5 because it looks like it's ready. Build quality is the next category, and you know, when I get down here and look at this thing close, you know, I don't see a lot of difference in this one than I do in the other machines. Like I said, this thing's made in America. Americans take pride, at least I like to think Americans take pride in what they do. And man, it's built like an army tank. It is really put together very, very, very well. And this bullhorn right here, or pitchfork, or whatever you want to call it, it is absolutely fantastic. I've never seen a design like that on a mower, and I absolutely love it. And it just kind of, like I said, it sets the stage for the rest of the mower, that look. I hope Bad Boy never gets rid of that on their stand-on, because that kind of helps me, at least, catch it going down the road. And if I can see the bull horns, I'm like, well, that's a Bad Boy right there. So yeah, I think the build quality is absolutely top notch. Looking at the welds and things, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I believe some of this may be robot welded, but I see some human hand welding as well. So, you know, the frame looks to be like a 2x4 frame on it, maybe a 1x3. But I'm gonna tell you what, man, it's built quite well. I like the construction of it. So for that reason, the build quality 9.5. I mean, it's just built very, very solid. So the next category is the toolbox. That's going to be ease of maintenance. And if you're new, let me fill you in. What we do in our company is basic oil changes. We change belts, obviously, battery, obviously, sharpen blades. And by the way, sharpening blades is pretty much the same on all the machines. You jack the front end up, take the blades off, clean, sharpen, balance, put them back on, drop the front of the machine back down. We do very little hydro work. We do a little bit of hydro work on occasion if it's topping off, or occasionally we have changed hydraulic filters and stuff like that if it's a super easy system. And a lot of times we just take that to the dealer and let them have at it. It's pretty much oil changes, belt, and blade. So let's look at it a little bit closer and see how easy that is to do. All right, so when looking at the belts and seeing how easy they are to get off, I like to drop the deck all the way down. Let's see here. I like this right here so far. One thing that really stands out to me right off the bat is all of this belt system is exposed. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if that would allow some type of debris to get up in here easily and get between a belt and a pulley, snap a belt. I don't know if it's designed like this to create a better airflow to keep the pulley system cooler. I don't know. But I do know this is the only machine I've seen so far that this is the only cover that's on it, this little plastic thing. And it covers the two outermost pulleys, and everything else on the inside is pretty much wide open. So just looking at this right off the bat, you know, you find the tensioner pulley. Oh yeah, this would be super, super easy to change the belt. I mean, it would take minimal effort. This is pretty unique right here. I haven't noticed this anywhere on other mowers. It doesn't mean that other mowers don't have it, but this one pulley has adjustment settings in it. I'm assuming that would be for maybe if your belt stretches a little bit, you can tighten it up right there. That's actually pretty cool. Again, I don't know if the other machines have it, but I just hadn't noticed it on other machines. But This is one big long serpentine belt, and yeah, you can push that up right there. You can change it in a matter of minutes, and it's super easy to change a belt right here. All right, let's come over here while we have the deck down, and let's find the oil filter. Not terribly difficult to get to, but it's not easy to get to. I've got a fuel line to contend with. I've got this bracketry right here to contend with. The deck height adjustment compartment here to deal with. And you know, I got fairly decent sized hands, so you know, getting in there would be kind of tough. Getting in here is not the easiest thing in the world. Of course, you might want to get an oil filter wrench in there, and that might be a little bit difficult. Here's the drain tube right here, in which you can drain it straight down to here. You could drop your deck down, put a shallow oil pan right here, and catch the oil pretty easily. And again, I think now that's a positive with this belt system, pulley system, not having any kind of cover on it, is when you change the oil, there's nothing to contend with down there. So let's raise the deck up and see if that changes things for the oil filter. Actually, that makes it a touch easier to get to. Not the easiest oil filter to get to, but by far not the hardest that I've seen so far. Kind of middle of the road, I'd say. Now let's come back here and see what we can find out about the hydros. And this looks to be to where I can unscrew this. I can unscrew this, and that should just pop right off. Booyah! Look at there. That's pretty hydraulic release right there. Gas tank in the center. You're going to keep your weight balance good. Here's your two reservoirs for the hydraulic fluid. Looks like if you ever had any issues right through here, you can get to everything pretty easily. The battery is mounted right here, which is easy to get to. And now I'm looking for hydraulic filters. If we would even attempt to mess with that on this particular machine, let's take this off right here and see what's back here. I'm looking for hydro filters. I assume some of these have internal hydraulic filters, and I'm just simply not seeing one anywhere on this machine. It doesn't mean it's not on here, but I'm just not seeing it. So in this particular circumstance with this machine, it definitely go to the dealer for a hydraulic fluid checkup. So overall ease of maintenance score, I'm going to give it a 9. The oil filter is a little difficult, but the belt kind of makes up for it. The belt is super easy to get to, super easy to change a belt. So overall, in general, I think it's worthy of a 9. All right, so in the next category, let's look at the ingenuity, the controls, ergonomics, layout, functionality, ease of use, comfort, USB port. This machine does have a USB port. Height of cut adjustment, ease, and of course I've already talked about the fuel tank being center. I personally either prefer a center fuel tank or dual fuel tank, simply for the balance of the machine, you know, being able to balance the weight out on each side evenly. So the controls, one thing that drove me crazy while I was mowing is these little, I don't know, neoprene, silicone, I don't know what this stuff is called, but it keeps sliding off. And not that it would slide off, because once it slid so far, it would butt up against the other control right here and it couldn't go nowhere. But as I was using the machine, it kept twisting in my hand and turning in my hand, and that gets a little bit annoying after a while. So I definitely do not like that part. But the actual control itself, overall, the controls are pretty nice. This is adjustable right here. You can pull this out, 1, 2, so you can have a really slow speed, you can have a medium speed, or you can have a high speed, which I find that to be very nice to be able to adjust all that. I found that for my hands, you know, they're fairly large, and y'all know I like to use the palm of my hand and the inside of my thumbs, and I like to barely get my fingertips over the front bar here. And I felt all of this to be pretty comfortable. Now, when I was mowing my neighbors and my father-in-law's yard, of course I had it full speed because that's more productive type mowing. But when I was cutting my turf here, the fescue and the bluegrass, I mowed on setting number 2, or the middle setting, and that was super comfortable because my hands just kind of fell right into place. And I absolutely love the angle. It's not quite as steep as some of the others. It's more of a subtle angle. You know, if you're steep here, flat here, it's just a barely, just a little bit of grade right here on these. And I just felt good doing that. Now, foot plate. I'll just go and tell you right now, I don't like it at all. This is the part we had a little trouble with, and it affected me with the foot plate not working properly. It affected me up here because when I stand on it, all right, the foot plate is working. Ooh, see what I'm saying? The foot plate is in its correct position the way it's supposed to be now. And see how my hands just kind of reach down and I have everything right here in front of me. I'm gonna put a little weight on this to make it to mess up like it's been doing. You see me fall down? Now I'm tilted back and my hands are more up here and my shoulders are feeling more crunched. So the failure of the foot plate is making it less comfortable up here. And you could really feel it bad. Especially on the rough part of my neighbor's yard over here. It was pretty bad. But we're going to talk about this foot plate a little bit more here in a minute. Taking the foot plate issue away and simply focusing on this, I find the ergonomics to be pretty dang good. So I'm going to give that a 9. So the functionality or layout of the controls. You guys know I like to be in the cockpit. Now, I don't want to have to produce any effort to get to my controls. I personally prefer controls back here, but on the Revolt, all the controls are out front, which isn't terrible. It's just they're not back here, they're in the front. The one thing I do like about them quite a bit, and you can see me falling down on this, is they're all in a straight line, so that I can go throttle, PTO, key, parking brake. And by the way, this parking brake is a little bit different. I want to say it's like an electric parking brake. Don't hold me to that, but it doesn't feel like it has a manual locking system. It feels more electronic to me, but I'm not completely sure about that. Look at the website to find out for yourself. The height of cut adjustment, everything is laid out really well. You do know that I'm a left hand parking brake, right hand height of cut adjustment kind of guy, and this is opposite, but I did find that these are fairly easy to operate and control. We'll get over here to this height of cut adjustment lever in a minute because it's a little bit unique all on its own. So the layout functionality, I think I'm going to give it a 9. So let's talk about the comfort up here. I think the comfort is good as long as this plate is working properly. And the plate just didn't work right for me. You can see I keep dropping down and it made it uncomfortable. It just did. I don't know how else to word it. When the little bit of time when I was kind of up as I should be on the machine, it was actually very comfortable. But the minute I do this and this spring down here gives away, then it becomes uncomfortable. And I spent way more time being uncomfortable on it than I was comfortable. So for that reason, I'm going to give the comfort up here a 7. So let's look at the height of cut adjustment ease. How easy is it to change the height of cut? Of course, there's no locking mechanism here, so when you go down to your desired height of cut, if you're on rough terrain, the mower bounces around, this is going to bounce with it and the deck's going to be going up and down. I know some of the machines have a locking mechanism to where at each height of cut it can lock, and if you need to go up and down just a little bit, you can without having to pull this pin out, which that's a pretty good feature. Now, this is unique, and I kind of like it, and then again I kind of don't. So you basically grab it, you give it a swift jerk, and you let it go, just like that. It's very quick and very fast, but the part I don't like about it is if I'm bouncing around in a rough yard, this is going to bounce up and down with it. The way you lock it back is you simply pull it back and it catches and locks. So that's pretty cool. Give it a little pop down, back lock. Pop down, back lock. So height of cut adjustment ease. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I have to score it one way or the other. I think the way, the function of it is what I'm supposed to be scoring here, and I'm gonna call that a 9. It's actually quite easy just to pop it and let the thing go down. So for that reason, I give it a 9. So everybody's favorite category, battle of the blades. How well does it cut, stripe, side discharge, all those good things. Height of cut accuracy. Let's go over here and we'll do all that in the garage. Take a look under the mower deck and see how accurate the height of cut actually is. Okay, so as we get up under the deck here, basically I'm looking for something unique, something different. Of course, back here, all this design and shape is pretty much standard. Up here, we're seeing a little bit of difference in some of the mower decks. This one has a long, straight leading edge that goes all the way over to the center of the deck, which I'd almost bet you, I don't know because I haven't mowed this yet, but I'd almost bet you that helps with side discharge right there. We do have a striping flap back here. The airspace between the front and the baffling here is not a whole lot. Spindles look to be really high quality, but nothing really sticks out as, wow, this is so different than any other deck. And of course, I say that not being an engineer, okay? I'm sure the engineering department at Bad Boy has its own little tweak or design here that makes their deck unique or different, but to the naked, untrained eye, it just looks like a pretty standard mower deck up under here, except for this long leading straight edge. We'll see how that plays in the side discharge. So the height of cut goes from 2 inches all the way up to 5 inches, and it looks like they're 1/4 inch increments: 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3.3, 3 3 3/4, 4. So let's start at the 2 inch mark right here. In 2 inches, we're actually at about 1 3/4 inches roughly. Now there's 2 1/2, and then there's 3, and we're off pretty good here. We're on 3 up there, and we're at actually a touch below 2 1/2 actual. And we'll go from 3, and then there's 3 1/2, and then here's 4. So we're at 4 inches up top and just a little below 3 1/2 actual. And next we'll check it all the way up here at 5 and see what that does. So in the highest position, 5, it actually cuts a touch below 4 1/2. So you've seen up under the deck and you see the height of cut accuracy. What that ended up being, I'm going to put the score of the height of cut accuracy on the screen right now, simply because I can't remember if it was on or off. I've had a lot of things going on in between the time I actually filmed that and current time right now. So you'll see the score of the height of cut accuracy on your screen. That will tell you how good or bad it was off. So cut quality. I find the cut quality on this machine to be okay. I didn't see anything that just really stood out to me and was like, wow, this thing is an amazing cutting machine. It cut good. Okay, I don't want to dare let you think that I'm saying it's a terrible cutting mower or I'm bashing the machine, because I'm not. It just cut good. It wasn't anything hyper special about it. I did find quite a few scragglers. Okay, that's in between the tire tracks where there's nothing but mower deck going across the turf. I like to look after I mow, and I'm looking for scragglers. Those are little individual blades sticking up that the blades on the mower don't cut. And I found quite a few of them. It was so many of them that I actually had to go back over my yard and double cut it. So yes, the blades are perfectly sharpened. We took every single blade off, balanced them, cleaned them, and sharpened them the correct way. So it has nothing to do with the blades, but I just feel like the machine is lacking in the vacuum department. How it pulls and stands the turf up so that it can give it a good clean cut. And I didn't get that feeling from this mower that it had all that good powerful suction like it should have. Quality of cut was just kind of okay for me. So for that reason, I'm gonna give the quality of cut an 8. Now the side discharge, different story. This thing side discharges like a champion. Got a good wide open chute right here, and I would get a good clean edge coming out, and it just kind of feathered everything toward the rear, and it kind of threw it up a little bit, which is, I kind of like that, because if you got a little breeze blowing, the breeze kind of catches it and flutters it out a little bit. You know, why does side discharge even matter? Well, you don't want to cut turf and leave clumps of grass. It's not a high-end yard like mine that's highly maintained. You want the client, or myself in this case, to come out after a mow. I don't want to see clumps of grass. I don't want to see little strips of clippings because the thing didn't chew it up and side discharge it all that great. But I did not find that to be the case with this mower. It side discharges quite well. So with all things taken into consideration on that, I'm going to give it a score of a 9. So the striping capabilities, there is a striping pad back here. I assume it's from the factory. It does look to be adjustable. My bluegrass back here, I cut it 2 inches, and it actually striped the blue harder than it striped my fescue, which I'm cutting at 3.5 inches. I think that's simply due to the striping pad back here being closer to the ground and tilting the turf over a little bit better. I thought it striped pretty good. Definitely not my favorite striping mower, but probably not my least favorite striping mower out of all the machines. So somewhere kind of middle of the road. So for that, I'm going to give it an 8.5 on the striping capabilities. Next category is smooth operator. So ride quality and comfort, 2 different things, right? Ride quality is how the machine handles the terrain as you're going across a yard. Is the thing bumpy and just throwing you all over the place, or is it taking the contours of the ground pretty good, giving it a good ride quality? As you know, ride quality is a pretty big deal to me on these machines because for the most part, all of them are pretty bad as far as the way they ride. But I did find that the ride quality on this one was pretty dang good. There's no shocks on it, no suspension. I can't tell you if these forks, the bull horns, make a difference. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know. But what I can tell you is this one rides a little bit better than most. It's not really a great riding stand-on mower because that's really difficult to find, you know. But there's just something about this thing. It actually rides pretty smooth. It's not a super fast mower, even in the highest setting on your bars. it doesn't go across the yard screaming. So at full speed, you know, you're not going to feel those more aggressive bumps like you would on a faster mower. I think I'm going to give the ride quality on this a 9. I think it rides worthy of a 9. Now, let's talk about the comfort, because that's different. All right, let's take you back here and let's look at this foot plate. Now, by the way, this foot plate is pretty different than most. Most of the machines have a much more robust foot plate system, and this one is just kind of hangs off the back, for lack of better words. You can see I've got the 2 rubber bushings right here on either side. Now, when you push this down with your feet, you can see down in there that spring back down in there. Let me say this right quick. This is not supposed to be here. This is what the dealer did to compensate for the failure back in here of that spring. And what happens is, you see this little round silver. I'm gonna try and push this up and maybe you can see it. All right, see this, watch this come down. You see that come down in there? That little round silver tab is what you're looking for. Right in there. What that does is you mash the foot plate down, it pushes that tab up. It releases a safety switch so that you can turn your mower blades on. This is spring loaded down here, so I'm not completely sure if that helps out with the cushion part back here. But what happened before this tab was made by my dealer is when I would stand on it, this pin down here, right here at my finger, would slip off of the foot plate, and the foot plate would not be engaging that, therefore not engaging that safety switch, and the blades would not cut on. Watch this little clip right here and you'll kind of see what I had to go through with this. Now what the dealer, Reedsville Equipment right down the street from me, did was they bent this little piece of metal and made the tab longer so that the spring-loaded pin right here would actually come in contact with it, so when you stand on it, it actually pushes it up and engages that safety switch down there. The ride quality was good, but the comfort, I want you to see this, watch how this thing falls. See how it just falls all the way back? The comfort was terrible for me personally. Something else I don't like about this plate, it doesn't hold you up off the ground. And I wear a size 13, so you know, it's all I can do to get my foot on this plate anyway. But I found that sometimes the back or the heel of my boot was hanging off the plate, and if I went over a little bit of uneven ground, the ground would grab the back of my foot and pull it off like that. I kid you not. It was the wildest thing. I'm so used to these machines keeping you lifted up off of the ground, but with this one, with this failure, this malfunction, I was constantly riding very low to the ground, and I was constantly trying to turn my feet to the side so that the ground wouldn't drag my feet and pull my foot off. Another thing that made it really uncomfortable is you look at the position of my feet. you know, your leg comes down like this, your foot should be pretty much at a 90. Well, the entire time I'm mowing, my foot, my toes are jacked up in the air like that. And so it's just uncomfortable. This goes back to my one word of unfortunate. Even though the machine's got some good and bad qualities about it, in my opinion, it made the entire experience not all that pleasant for me. Just, I'm trying to keep it real. I'll give an official apology to Bad Boy. In no way am I trying to make your product look bad in any way, because you provide American jobs, and I'm thankful for that. But it was very unfortunate that the one particular machine out of the entire fleet of Bad Boy mowers you have, the one that I got, we had a failure, and it just so happened to be during a YouTube video series showing 14 of the stand-on mowers in the country. So I apologize, Bad Boy, but at the same time, I must be forthright and I must be truthful. This is a very poor design, and your engineers need to fix this, and they need to fix it right away, so that the people that do buy this machine do not have to go through the trouble that I've went through with this mower. Ride quality was good, comfort is not all that great, so for that reason I'm going to give the comfort 6.5. So the next category is horsepower, and that's going to talk about the engine a little bit and the hydraulics. This has a Kawasaki FX781V Evo EFI motor. It doesn't have a horsepower sticker on it, so I have no idea what the horsepower is, but I will say it lacks in no way. More than enough power for this particular machine. It has a gracious amount of horsepower. I never found it to be lacking in any kind of way. So for the horsepower, give it a 9.5. Now, one of my favorite categories is the hydraulics, feel, sensitivity, and responsiveness. Overall, I find these hydraulics on this machine to be fantastic. I mean, really good hydraulics. Extremely smooth, very responsive. You know, I'm the guy who likes touchy-feely hydraulic systems. What I mean by that is when I give the controls a command, I want them to respond instantly. I'm not the soft hydraulic guy, you know, spongy type hydraulics. I don't like that. I like very sensitive, very to the point, very detailed hydraulics. And I found these to be that from the go, meaning some of these machines, when I give it a 1/4 inch of command to go forward, some of these machines have a little bit of lag in it before they actually take off. And of course, I understand that's probably in the linkage and probably can be adjusted. But this one, whoever did the adjustment on this thing, spot on. Absolutely dead nut spot on. And I just find the hydraulics, the sensitivity of them to be very good, whether it be from the start, whether I be in half stride or half throttle, whatever you want to call it. I just find that they react and feel very good, and they're very solid, and they're very strong hydraulics. I noticed that on my father-in-law's yard, because he has a pretty steep incline for the ditch, and it held that ditch without, you know, the front end kind of sliding down at all. It held it very, very, very well. So for the feel, I'm going to give it a score of a 9. For the responsiveness, I'm going to give it a score of a 9.5. And for the sensitivity, 9.5. These are very, very good hydraulics. So overall, the hydraulic system, I've got to give it a score of a 9.5, because these hydraulics are spot on. Now, something else about this, the platform back here, I found to be super annoying, is when I'm mowing in, you know, what do you call it? Culvert or ditch? Around here we call it a ditch. You go down the road, there'll be a ditch running beside the road, and then a driveway pipe, and then the ditch carries on. That's to carry the water. And some people call it a culvert, so I call it a ditch. So when I say ditch, you know what I'm talking about. Some of these ditches aren't all that steep. You know, some are steep and you have to mow them, you know, sideways. Some of them are kind of laid back where you can go down in and come back out. Well, I found this platform to be a nightmare trying to do that, because when you go down, it bottoms out almost every time. Almost every single time, where with any of the other machines, I had zero issues whatsoever. That's just another part of this platform I'm just not a big fan of. So next category is hold my sun drop, and this is not a scored category, because you either have a cup holder or you don't. And in this case, the bad boy does have one. Now, will it hold my sun drop going through a yard? Not real sure about that. I really don't think it would. But it does seem to be somewhat of spring loaded, so if your cup was a little bit oversized than a 16-ounce drink can, it should fit in there just fine and hold it just fine. So good job. So at this point in the game, it's looking like the torture test is not going to happen. We're going to take all the machines over to my brother's field, just kind of go crazy with them out in the field. Probably not going to happen. My time is just getting a little too limited. Hillside mowing is up in the air right now. Okay, I desperately want to get this done because I have all the machines here. But at the end of the day, my time is valuable as well. So we'll just have to kind of see how it goes. I'm going to try my absolute best to get all the machines out at one place at a shooting range down the street where the big berm's on the side, and we're going to try to get that done. I give you my word, I'm going to try my hardest. So let me give you my verdict. Good mower. Like I said, it just goes back to my my one word: unfortunate. It is very unfortunate that out of all the people in the country that could have got a machine that had a default, one machine, one dude, what is the chances of that happening and me actually getting my hands on that particular machine, making a full-blown YouTube review series on all the different mowers? So you can call it bad luck, you can call it what you want. I call it bad design. That switch back here that has to be activated by the foot plate so that the blades can, the PTO can be turned on, that is just it's just not a good design at all. Bad boy, if I could give you one piece of advice, it would probably save you a lot of trouble in the future. You have to take that back to the drawing board. You have to. You have to get that switch in there fixed, redesign it, re-angle it, so that the angle catches the foot plate more solidly or something. You got to do something, because this really got on my nerves, because I am a go-getter. I am a let's get it done rapidly, efficiently, and this slowed down the process of filming this machine dramatically. It happened so many times, and it was just getting frustrated. But like I said, fortunately, the dealer's right down the street from me, bad boy dealer, and they whipped it up for me, got it in shape, kind of done a little redneck engineering, I guess what you'd call it. And since we did that, it's actually worked pretty dang good. You know, the verdict on this overall, I think it's a super solid mower. I think anybody that buys one would have a great machine, and you can make a lot of money in your business with it. Hopefully Bad Boy fixes this issue that I had, so that nobody else or anybody else that does buy a machine, a Bad Boy machine, won't have to deal with that. So there you go. That's my take on the Bad Boy Revolt. And again, like, subscribe, and share it to all your buddies. We're going to have a lot of videos on all these mowers, and I think it's going to help a lot of business owners. So as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.